Before we jump into today's episode, we want to talk to the nurse who has a message. Whether you're an aspiring nurse entrepreneur or whether you're a current nurse entrepreneur, if you have a message that you are sitting on and you refuse to put it out there because you are nervous, you're afraid, you don't think you know enough, this podcast is for you. We want to give you guys the tools and also take you on our journey to speaking at one of the largest medical spa conferences in the nation, and actually how we kind of went through that journey together, but then some of our unique challenges that we experienced. So this episode is for you. Make sure you stay tuned. Welcome to the Nurse Boss Shift. It's your girl, Dr. Kiiyonna Jones.
And I'm Christal P, the Hormone NP.
And today we are live and direct.
Yes.
From Christal's podcast studio here in Rancho. And super excited because we have not recorded in a while and we have had a lot of life updates. Yes. So we want to go ahead and dive into one of many today in this conversation. But what's up, Chris? How you been?
I've been good. The year's getting better.
Yeah.
I think for all of us. So that's something to rejoice about. So
we actually did start this year. We were heavy at the beginning of this year. Where are we at? We at almost May. So we were pretty heavy at the beginning of this year. I feel like it's during that uncomfortable time when the seeds are being planted. Mm-hmm. There's nothing happening at that time, but there is something happening. It's just in the background, and you don't directly see it. So a perfect example of that today, you guys, we're going to dive into the importance of pitching for large organizations. And we're going to take you through our experience because Christal and I just spoke at an AMSPA event, which is one of the largest aesthetic conferences. It's an annual conference, and we were blessed enough and able to speak about at this conference. And so for Christal, this is not your first time. This is
my third year speaking.
This was actually my first year speaking. And we're going to just talk to you guys about the journey to getting there and just why it's important for us to step out and dare to be audacious.
And how you too can do this because we are no different.
Yes, that part. So essentially, Christal, let's just talk about what did you talk about on your time?
So this year I talked about perimenopause and weight loss and the intersection between the two. So I basically taught the providers how they can add weight loss and hormone therapy to their practice for another stream of revenue. And also because we already have that clientele to be able to offer them something else that they're needing and looking for.
Yeah. And I spoke about AI and the integration of AI in small or micro med spa businesses. So my real emphasis was solopreneurs, but it also is applicable to micro businesses. And this is such a hot topic. And I felt like it was something that was necessary. Now, there were other AI speakers, but none of them took the angle that I took, which was a good bet that I took, by the way.
Yeah.
So
your blue ocean
strategy.
Right,
my blue ocean, you guys. That's what I'm talking about. So it's all about positioning yourself and having a unique proposition. It's not just about like AI. Everybody's talking about AI, but how can you create something that makes your talk about AI unique, or your talk about whatever it is that you're speaking about unique? So Chris, okay, so what happened? How did we both end up speaking at this event? Let's talk about that.
So it all started. It started several years ago when we went to our first AMSPA presentation. That was 4 years ago. In 2022, you said?
Yeah, it was 2022. So it's 3 years ago. So I think this is your second time speaking then, because it was 3 years.
Because I was thinking about it. We went 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025.
Oh,
so
okay. Right. It's like, that's 3 years.
So fast. So we went and we were in the audience, and, they were just having this conversation on stage. They were talking about diversity. So it was very bold of them to even bring diversity to the main stage. This was the first talk. And the talk was just not sitting right with us.
Yeah.
If I can say it that way.
Yeah.
So there was just a lot of having a diversity talk. You probably want people who are diverse on the talk, first of all. So we met, started talking to the owner, Alex. He's very CEO. He's very approachable, very nice, and he kind of hung his head down to like, I know that was pretty awful. So we kind of had, he was gracious enough. He wanted to continue the conversation with us. So we had a couple meetings afterwards, and he then invited, it was another friend of ours as well. And he then invited us to speak the next year on a big panel where we were, lots of diverse opinions, just talking about diversity in healthcare. And he really took ownership of that. So we really appreciated him for that. He took ownership from it and kind of did a little spin to just making the conference more diverse and just keeping that relationship open and going. So we ended up speaking on a panel that year, and then the next year they send out a speaker call. So basically, if you're interested in speaking, then you pitch what you would like to speak about. So I pitched that year talking about hormones and weight loss, and I got picked up, which is very exciting for me because that's at the point where I started to pivot into hormones and weight loss, and also learning about hormones at that very conference. So a good thing that came out of that first year that we went is we both heard Dr. Evans speak about hormone therapy. And we'll do another episode on why just going to these conferences are so important. But it was great to come back and to speak about that. And then this year got to speak again about perimenopause and hormones. And of course, you always, slide your friends and ask your friends and suggest. So I suggested that, I had two great friends who can also offer something to AMSPA, and they pitched their ideas and were then selected.
And you guys, it's funny, Christal. So Christal just mentioned one of our other friends who actually, it was Christal and her who went and talked to him at that event, and I didn't. And I don't know why I didn't. I didn't talk to him that at the when we went in 2022. You
probably
both,
because we did, and then other people were.
It was, and he honestly, I felt like what was needed to be said was said.
Right.
And I didn't feel like I could add any value to the conversation because you guys had already spoke to him.
Yeah.
And so it was like the diversity piece was the main thing. And honestly, what I like about him, and this is really, I think, a message for a lot of us as entrepreneurs, is you have to be willing to listen to the marketplace. And it was definitely a weird moment. We were all watching, and it was a cringe moment in 2022. But what he did is he took that moment and he used it to learn from it. And then he brought on a lot more diversity for the next year.
Yes.
And then so they came back the next year. They went the second year. Now, by the third year, see, for me, I have to have something that I feel like I can bring value to. I felt like you were talking about hormones. Our other friend was talking about weight loss, I want to say.
She was talking about diversity. So they then spun and did a whole diversity track at it. So she was speaking about diversity in aesthetics that year.
So she talked about diversity. I just didn't it wasn't my time, and like you have to be patient too. It wasn't until.
And that's kind of when you took your break too. So
God was working on me.
Your little time out.
I always say God set me down for a second too. Yeah. But anyway, when Christal told us about, it was myself and another friend, actually she has been on the podcast before, Dr. Kiki. Christal let us know. And then I was thinking, okay, what could I talk about? And then I was like, I had been studying AI while I was on my little sabbatical. And I was like, this would be great. And it's something that I actually have integrated and I could help. And you guys, and this brings us to our next talking point, Christal, which is how you decide the topic that you're going to talk about. Because for me, it was like, I was thinking as I was creating, of course I worked with ChatGPT. If y'all not using, I don't even know what to say. I mean, I'm just going to keep on telling y'all crazy if you're not using it in everything in your life. But I was trying to come up with something that focused on solopreneurs because that's primarily the market that I serve. So I thought if the audience could be that, then that could lead to other opportunities. So it was very intentional, but it was also very cutting edge. So I had already invested a lot of money in AI training, and I still do to this day, but I felt like that was just like the perfect opportunity. Now, here's the thing. You don't have to wait until you're ready. We pitched this in July, I didn't have anything done, but I was like, if they accept it, then I'm going to create what I need, like the presentation and all the things, and go through the process. But I'm going to pitch it. You guys, that's the thing. A lot of times we want to build first and then put it out there. That's not no, you do it first. You put it out there first and then you build it, and you build it based on the needs. Another reason I didn't do it is because AI is changing like every week. It's something different. So I knew I was going to need some time. So how did you decide on, because you were weight loss the first year. What were you the second year you went?
So the first year I was mostly weight loss, which is funny because no, and then the second, so the first year I just spoke on the panel. The second year I did weight loss, and then this year I did weight loss and hormones, and the panel. So but when I first pitched, it was funny because I pitched as well about weight loss, and I was like tinkering with weight loss then. Well, I did weight loss in my practice, but we pitched, and then so the conference was in April that year, and in January I had just got hired on to the at the hospital doing weight loss, so that brought an even more influx of weight loss patients. So by the time, you're right, I had pitched it, but by the time I got there, I was ready because I had 4 or 5 months under my belt of seeing hundreds of weight loss patients. So I had a lot to add, and then just this year was exciting because it was hormones and weight loss, which is what I primarily do here.
So what made you decide to do hormones and weight loss? That's what you pitched to speak about, both of them together?
Yeah, I pitched to speak about both of them together, which is funny because the first year, I mean, this is a aesthetics conference, so it's mainly, aesthetic treatment. So me even branching out to talk about weight loss, which is something that they had talked about it a little bit, but it wasn't primarily what the focus was. So just seeing that, especially in that first talk, there were so many people who were interested, because you're always scared that like you're not going to teach them anything, or that they're going to know everything. But I had literally, and I think that's why they liked me, because I had a line just like, we all did this year after our talks, but a line of people asking me questions. So it was like, okay, that was my, a confidence builder to know that A, I know what I was talking about, and B, that you only have to be so many steps ahead of somebody else who is learning, and I had something to bring to the table. So that's how I kind of approach, the things that I love talking about that I could talk about in my sleep is what I pitch talking about. And then how providers can add this to their practice, because especially with hormones, my whole thing is educating and getting this word out about, to end the suffering of women going through these treatments. So it was very exciting for me to be able to teach other practitioners how they can do the same.
Yeah. And what I feel like is that the big takeaway from this segment, you guys, is you have to pitch yourself. And don't wait or think you're going to feel ready, or it's going to be perfect. That's not how it works. No. You literally have to go out there and pitch yourself, and either they accept it or they don't, but most likely they're not going to, especially bigger organizations, they're not going to come to you like knocking on your door, not likely, until you start to develop some kind of traction in the marketplace. That's usually not going to happen. So don't think like, and this is not just for AMSPA, this is for any conference. Don't think like I don't have enough experience, or I don't have enough followers, or I don't have enough whatever. No, you guys, a lot of times the experts in this space, they don't have a lot of followers either. Right. They don't have a lot there, but they're in the real world. Like they're doing it in real life. So I
think it's important to mention that a lot of times we think of what can we bring to the table, or, like you were saying, they have to have all these followers, but really they are, I don't want to say desperate, but they're looking for speakers to talk. They want the content. They want, just because someone is good in their field doesn't mean that they can teach it well. So if you are someone who feels that you know a bit about your subject and you can teach it well, then they are looking for you. They are looking for content. They're looking for what you have to bring to the table, but you can't be scared to not pitch yourself.
Yeah. Did you feel nervous?
Yes. Less nervous this year. Definitely nervous the first year because it was the main stage panel. So
hey, can you explain that?
So with the panel that time, it was me, our friend Shannon, and then it was Dr. K, Beauty by Dr. K. So she's pretty big, another big Atlanta surgeon, and George, who is the overskin spirit. So it was them. So just nervous that I had something to bring to the conversation. We were also talking about, a topic of race and things like that. So just making sure that I got my point across and said things correctly and where people can understand. And then speaking in front of, I think there was about 2,500 people at that AMSPA, and it's been growing every year. And then again, having my main stage, nervous about, am I going to teach them something? Are they going to know things? Am I going to say something wrong where they're questioning me? But no, quite the opposite. And I usually always get nervous when I'm about to go on what they call, I forgot what they call it when you get nervous right before you speak. But usually that, and then once I get on stage and I get a little bit to my speech, then I'm more comfortable.
Yeah.
How about you? Were you nervous?
Yeah, for sure. I'm always nervous though. Like I'm nervous before I go live on Instagram. Right. That's the thing. People wouldn't believe it, but I'm always nervous. So it's just a part of my process. I don't use it. It's nothing to me. Like it's just a feeling.
It's just there.
Exactly. I have finally been able to get it to a point in my journey where it's just a part of it.
Yeah.
So I expect that. Probably if I'm not nervous, then that'll make me more concerned.
Right.
Because I like to be nervous. That keeps me on my toes and keeps me to a point where I'm always like trying to make sure I know what I'm talking about. I'm comfortable because once I get on stage, I turn on and I just go. Like, so having that little bit of nerves or a lot of bit of nerves, at this one it was a lot, just keeps me on my toes to make sure I'm prepared. Yeah. Now, okay, so you mentioned about when you're there with colleagues. What I heard was it's really different when they're experts in the room. And there's a lot of people who know more than we know, right?
And this year being the panel I was on was Injector Bunny, Rana, and then the Injectionista. So that was really like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What am I going to talk about?
But and the thing is, they're so nice. Like, so we went to each other's talk, of course, and we were all at different times, which really was good. Yeah. But they were super sweet on the stage. Sweet. It wasn't, a lot of times, you guys, the intimidation is what we tell ourselves.
Yeah.
For real. Like, people don't generally have a problem. Like, they're generally nice people, the successful ones. Yeah. I know what we hear, like, they're people who are doing well are buttholes. But honestly, for the most part, the people who are doing good that I've met have, for the most part, probably 95% have been really sweet, really nice, really supportive.
Yeah, very supportive. And also, I try to spin it in my head before I even got there, because the talk was on leadership and growing a team and things like that. So I'm like, okay, they have these major teams. And what I learned most is that, it's hard having a big team. A lot of them wish that they had smaller teams. But also I could speak to those people in the audience who were just starting, who were solopreneurs, who didn't have a huge team. One of the other girls I injected with, she's a popular injector out here, but she doesn't necessarily have a huge team. So just finding how I can give a spin, because like I said, there weren't only people who owned huge med spas with several different practices, but there were those who were solopreneurs just getting started. So I was able to speak to that.
Yeah, I was really surprised at the crowd in Minds too. I didn't think it was that was me. I knew there were solopreneurs, but I thought there would be a lot less at that event, but actually there were a lot more. And then when I looked at the research, when I was preparing, I realized that most practices are single member owned practices, majority. So even though it seems like there's just so many and they're, all these franchises out there, that's just a small fragment of the entire med spa industry. So that was good. So I wanted to ask you, was there any unexpected events or like challenges in preparation for it for you?
Yes, absolutely. Well, one, wanting to add things to the slide presentation I got there, I guess late and wasn't able. I was just tired by the time I got there. Yes. And then another thing that I realized is trying to do too much myself. So, I was trying to do my hair, and then I was up till 1:00 in the morning, then had to fly. So, next time I'm like, I'm delegating all of that.
Yeah.
Delegating all of that.
Can I say that probably is associated with the more relaxed you was this time, because you didn't say nothing about the other two times.
Exactly. It was
like, I get to it.
It was very, so when I speak again, I won't be doing that. Because yes, I was more relaxed. I knew the flow. I was like, okay, it'll work out. It'll be fine. Because the year before I was stressing so much
Yeah.
and everything was fine.
Yeah.
So just finding that happy balance. But
Yeah.
yeah, always things that go wrong. But I think once you get up there and you start doing what it is that you came to do
Yeah.
and you're passionate about it, then all the issues go out the windows. But yeah, just taking those small things to be prepared next time.
For sure. For me, so keep in mind, this is my first time at the event. So I was preparing early. First of all, I appreciate they required us to turn in our presentations like back in January. Because baby, I would have been right at the last minute. So I'm glad they did that. But for me, because I was doing AI and there's so many changes in AI, then it became okay, I sent the message to their coordinator and I'm like, listen, this is what I have, but I expect that there's going to be a lot of changes because I see what's happening, right? And so they were okay with it because mine was not CME. Yours was CME credited. So you didn't have very much room to change because it had already been approved. See, for me, mine was not, so I was able to change up until the last minute. By the time a week before, I pretty much changed my whole presentation.
Crazy.
Just so you know. But what went wrong, I would say, well, I don't even know if it was wrong. It was part of what it was supposed to be, but I had ordered my outfit that I was going to wear, and I ordered it a whole 5 weeks in advance because I wanted time in case I wanted to go and get it altered or anything like that. I ordered it from this Black-owned designer that I really wanted because it meant something. So I was just thinking about the whole process and what I wanted. And why I didn't show up. It was like a week before I finally had to email them like, where is it? Like it said 7 to 10 business days. Like, where is it? And then they were like, oh, well, it was Ramadan and in the area that it's made, which is Dubai. And we're sorry. And I was just so upset. But long story short, I didn't get it. And now I got a refund. And so I just wore something out of my closet. I found something that I had from a photo shoot. It worked out though. I feel like the other outfit wouldn't have done what it was supposed to do.
Okay.
So God always has the way of like working it out for your good. So everything did you buy something for it?
I did, but
what you buy? Your dress that you spoke in? Yeah, that was pretty. I didn't. I just got something out of my closet. And so that was nerve-wracking, but once I started to just be like, okay, it wasn't meant, like, just let it go. I started to like unload the weight. That, and then the only other thing was like just doing I had to upload my slides, and so that was a challenge. But everything else, I feel like went smoothly. It was just like the little things. It was kind of tedious and a little upsetting, but other than that, I feel like it was good.
And I think at this point we are so used to knowing that everything's going to work out how it is. And it's going to be, it's going to be fine, that we kind of just, I think it's more at this point of reminding ourselves of that. Like, why have I spent a whole day frustrated on this when I know it's going to be okay? So just learning to remember that quicker. But other than that, everything went smooth. So
I felt like, having the support of each other was really good.
Yes. We can talk about the holiday. It was just a fun time.
It was so good, and just being able to be in each other, to support each other, but like encourage each other and just have this experience. I think it's just, oh my God, that's what I would say that I love the most. And it kept me hopeful and optimistic. Like, and I went last, so Christal. You went first, and then Dr. Kiki went, and then I went, and we all were on Saturday. So it ended up working out, but I'm not going to say that you guys, if you decide you want to do something, sometimes you're going to have to do it by yourself. We've done things by ourselves before, but it was good. That was a great experience for us to be able to kind of take that stage together.
And I loved it because we were each speaking in something that we separately loved.
Right.
Started off together, but have all like kind of verged off into different things. So I love that too.
Okay. So how did you prepare?
So I prepared by, of course, doing first, you do the presentation. So me and Chat worked it out with research and just doing the presentation, and then just constantly thinking of things that you can add or things that might be helpful or taking things out. So a lot of that when creating the actual presentation. And then after that, just reviewing it as many times as you can, what you're going to say. I probably prepared more for the panel discussion than I did for my own discussion. So I did notice when a lot of and that comes from me not being as prepared. So I was like, next time we're gonna have that down. But I know that this time, because it was more nerve-wracking for me being on the panel and talking about this whole thing of like leadership and growing teams and things like that, I was definitely preparing more about how I was going to spin my angle on it. But yeah, that's how I think preparing is, just repeating it so you know it off the tip of your tongue and you know it by repetition, so that you can pace your timing, pace, how many slides you have, what areas you're on, questions that may be asked, and things like that. So I think the best preparation is to just constantly keep going through it so you know it. How was your preparation? Because this was your first. I'm sure you were.
Yeah, my preparation was just thinking about serving, you guys. That is where I'm always. It eases me, because if I think about me, then it gets scary.
Yeah.
Like, it's because I know what I think, but I have to think from the perspective of the audience. And so that was my biggest, like, my biggest, I don't know, it was just the process that I went through is just kept going back to who would be in the audience, what do they know, what do they not know, especially teaching something like AI. It's super intimidating, and most people, when they think about AI, the average person just thinks about ChatGPT. So being able to sprinkle and like introduce other large language models, but not being too overwhelming. Like, I had to pull back a lot from my presentation, because as I was going through it, I was like, this is too much. Like, this is going to be we only had 25 minutes. So that's another thing. Right. So it's thinking about, like, how can I deliver something that's easily digestible? I feel like I do a lot of edutaining. Like, it's not just educating, it's also entertaining. So trying to crack a little joke here and there, that's my personality. So not deviating from that, but still being able to add the value was important for me. And then taking them through like a story versus like just the slides. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was trying to be present and like putting my feet in their shoes. I wanted to make it not intimidating, because I know that it is. And that's all that I always think about, is like, how can I serve at the highest level, meeting them where they are. They call this like a belief bridge, and you have to go to them and bring them across the bridge, instead of just yelling and saying, hey, it's great over here. This is what we're doing. But rather, hey, I know you're intimidated by this. I know you think you have to be techie. I know you have to, but you don't. And here's how. And like, making them see that I'm not techie either, which I am not, right? But just kind of going through that process with them really, really helps me, because if I focus on them, I'm good. But the minute I start deviating from that, it becomes a whole different beast. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up. But what would you say? What's the takeaway from all of this? Like, why are you doing it? Why are we doing it? Why are you doing it? And then what's the next step? Like, what do you do with it after you have these great like speaking opportunities under your belt? What does that look like, and how does it transform into your business?
So I think the main thing is just to, especially in this space that I'm in with women's health and how I'm passionate about perimenopause and menopause care and ending that suffrage for women. So for me, it's about just getting the word out there, so more providers, more patients, women are aware of their bodies, what's going on. We're not all like clueless, like, why do I feel this way? So my angle is really doing it for those purposes, to really get the word out. And then, so what do you do? I think that so for me, and having clients and things, that it puts me as a leader in the one of the leaders in the industry, or someone who is talking and talking about this. So I want my clients to know that I talk about this. I teach talks about this. I teach providers about it. So I really know what I'm talking about and really care and really study this. So that's the angle that I take with these conferences and speaking. Is it really just helps me to stand out in the industry that I'm in,
authority,
to be a authority figure in it.
Yeah, that's right. For me, I was very strategic with like having something for them, which I could do and you couldn't. So let me say, you were seeing me, I was not, but it was important. Why did I think of that? It was important for me. Like, and this is something for everyone. In addition to delivering value, you always want to think about the next step. I made so many mistakes hosting events and doing things. And I was so focused on the event that I missed that what's the next step that you want them to go to?
Yeah.
What's that next level, right? What are you going to do with it? And so for me, I created a AI playbook for them, which was a certain section of the presentation that I already had. And I couldn't spend a lot of time on it. So I was like, hey, at the end of it, I said, hey, I created this for you guys and you can go ahead and download it by scanning this QR. And then I connected with them that way. So I didn't, because with AMSPA, you can't pitch on the stage. So I was always thinking about like, okay, I can't pitch, but how can I connect on a deeper level with them? Or how can I get people to raise their hand that they're really interested in this?
Right.
And I think on that, it was like 50 leads right then and there.
That's so good.
It was 50. And then ultimately we ended up with, I think like 65 by the Monday after the event. And then and so from there, now they're in my ecosystem. And so now what am I going to do with them? I was already planning I went in hard on that Monday, just for a week. I went in hard on AI, like showing these little AI visuals that I created. And all showing my assistant, like revealing all these things that I had been working on. I had not revealed it yet. So that positioned me and everybody's just like, oh my gosh. So I was intentional about that. Like I don't want, and I've lost so much. Guys, this comes from experience. So I hope you guys are learning from our experience. Like you don't want to wait. Think about this. By the time you get accepted and they accept your talk or your workshop, always think about what the next step is. Like you want to get them into your funnel and how can you get them at the top of your funnel and move them along? So now I have those additional 60 something people. And now I'm just massaging and nurturing. Probably about 8 of them or 10 of them attended my first workshop. That was on Saturday. And so we'll and the other amount of people was from my social media following, but we'll continue to massage and nurture the relationship and move them down the funnel. Not everybody purchases on the first time. Not everybody, they want to see, they want to get to know, right? So you have to build that know, like, and trust factor. And so that was my biggest, like, I thought it through, which normally I don't. You gotta think it through, you guys. And I feel like your talk or workshop is old news by the time you actually do it. So you better think about what the next step is for them. So so that was it. Like it was a great experience though. We definitely hope you guys have learned something from this podcast. And if nothing else, I'm going to give you my biggest one thing that I want you guys to learn from this. And that is nobody is truly confident when you pitch these type of larger organizations. And I just feel like confidence is something that is, and I'll say this, I've said it before, it's earned. And so over time, like now that I've had this experience, okay, good. This will be something I can add to my professional bio and say that I've spoken at this conference and I can pitch myself to other conferences. So you just have to always try to be a step ahead and just remember that nobody is confident when we're doing it. We're just determined to step out of our comfort zone and grow beyond where we are. And that's all you have to have. What's your one big thing?
I would say, just continue to work on, the only way I can say is decreasing the fear. It goes along with what you're saying, but just doing it and just learning to be comfortable with the fear. And the longer you fight it, it's the longer you're holding yourself back. Because again, they want people to speak, they want you to speak, and all you have to do is go and present on something that you love and you're passionate about. Someone in the audience is going to learn one thing. So just think about them, the person who needs to learn that, maybe that one thing that you do for your patients that really changes how their treatment and their care is, that you feel that more people would be able to benefit from. Just constantly, as we always say, to think about how you're serving and how that person needs to hear what you have to say. But that can't be done if you're stuck being fearful, because I would have never thought that I would be speaking at an AMSPA conference, but here we are. So just by opening my mouth and meeting the necessary people that you need to meet.
Yeah. And the only way I feel like you're the only way, you said work on getting over the fear. And I feel like it's important to say that it's just through doing it though.
Doing it. Yeah. That's how you work
That's
on it.
how you work on the fear. It's just continue to act and get in spaces that make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So,
and small things, like I believe that was someone on our IV hydration revealed the coaching that we have with them, and I was telling them, I think it was that, but just doing small things to start off, like just speaking to going into a room and making yourself say hi to one person, and just doing little micro things like that. And then those will build up to bigger things that you'll then be able to take bigger risks, but you have to start somewhere.
Yeah, agreed. All right, you guys. Well, I hope you guys are inspired. And more importantly, I hope that you guys are taking away the reality that, what seems to be like such this thing that you have to have all of these accolades. It's not really the case. You have that one thing that's your gift, and you need to lean into that gift. We all have it, you guys. And your gift may not be speaking, but that may be the modality for which you're able to amplify that gift to the people who need it.
Right.
So we hope that you guys feel a little inspired by this. And again, you guys, make sure you're commenting and letting us know other ways that we can serve you. Don't gatekeep, as I always say. Make sure you share this out. We are also on YouTube platforms, so make sure you go ahead and subscribe to our channel on YouTube and download the video too, because apparently we need more downloads, you guys. Although we are still number 5 in the world, but we still need more downloads. So make sure you are going ahead and downloading these podcasts as you are kind of joining us every single week and listening to what we have to say and what we deliver. All right, you guys. Until next time. Bye.